Hello, everyone. People have been asking me to keep doing the videos about the summary of the school board meetings, so I thought I'd go ahead and do that. I was attending a party last night and didn't watch the school board meeting live. Honestly, I heard there was a lot of mess and decided when I came home from the party I was in too good of a mood, so I spent most of the day off and on listening to the 5.5 hours, I believe it was, of the meeting. Obviously, I had other things to do. So I'm just going to hit a couple highlights. The first news for parents is the Thanksgiving vacation has now been extended to be the full week. The reason being is staff was burnt out. I agree with it in concept. I don't agree with it in execution. Reason being is, as I said, is I was a struggling single parent at one point. You know, people have to worry about their schedules. And I posted those thoughts in the discussion group I did, Spotsy Parents for Public Education. Please check it out. So that was a concern. It's just the short notice on that. Also, staff does get 5 days off then. So I like the concept of the extra 2 days, but my thought without looking at a school calendar is they've got 5 days off. They come back for about three and a half weeks. Then we go into the Christmas break. I'd rather see those 2 days, February, March, wherever we have the biggest non-break, and have it be a 4-day weekend one way or the other. So that was my thought on that. That did pass 6-0, so our kids off the whole week for Thanksgiving. The other issue is the book thing. Some parents brought up it, and the concerns are valid. I agree with the concerns about what they described in these books. Of course, I'm not familiar with the books themselves. And as Baron Braswell said, and as I've always said in my things, is you have to get all sides to get to the story. But what they addressed is a major concern. And what they were talking about is some very sexually explicit books. Of course, they brought up some others. And it starts to get me a little concerned. I'm a student of history. And at one point during all this, we won't get into the political maneuvering that Twig and Abusmal we're trying to do and interrupting public comments to discuss it, then that's a whole nother mess. But the thing is, Twig and Abusmal, we're talking about not just removing these books, but burning them. Burning books scares me. It's just a throwback to the Nazis and throwback to so many other horrible eras in our world's history and our country's history, because our country did it too. And it scares me that way. Especially, Kirk Twig was talking about expanding it to other things. Of course, Twig and Abusmal, and yes, I intentionally use it that way. We're going after Dr. Baker. And when I sat down with with Kirk Twig early in this process, I want to say it was February, he laid out his plan for the schools. And his plan, very clear. He wanted April Gillespie to win. He wanted Lisa Phelps to win, and he got that. And he wanted control of the school board. He got that. And that's why I was running, the no agendas, kids not politics. I didn't want any group, I don't care what group, to have control of our school board. Well, that's what we have now. So Kirk Twig's plan was to become the chairman. Then he said he's going to fire Dr. Baker and force the schools to submit a zero net increase budget. Well, of course, I think if you would have listened to the comments on the book thing, this is probably where he's going to go and accuse Dr. Baker of doing that and fire the man after 10 years. Well, here's the problem with getting rid of Dr. Baker. He's a very competent, well-respected person, and I think he's going to end up making a lot more money somewhere else with his experience. But as I said during the campaign I finally found somebody yesterday who works for the schools who didn't like Dr. Baker. But when you talk to educators, none of them, up till last night, none of them had a bad word to say about the man. I had a PE teacher in a middle school tearing up talking about Dr. Baker. So what's going to happen when we lose Dr. Baker? We're going to lose a lot of the staff that have been kind of holding on, saying, well, we're happy here, but we can make more money elsewhere. Now they're going to have a school board. They don't feel supporting them. They're not going to have the superintendent they like, so it's an unknown. They're going to go for the money. Next year, we are going to have a massive shortage. You think it's bad now? It's going to be worse later. Back to the book thing. We need to keep an eye on this. Again, some of these, I am concerned about this, but like they use the term, we're going to remove all sexually explicit books. Well, I have to admit, I'm not into literature that much, but the one that kept coming to my mind is William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. That could be considered sexually explicit. You need a criteria. You need to narrow it down more. Are they going to start banning Shakespeare? We as parents need to be watching what's happening. We need to pay attention, people. Again, this is probably the longest video I've ever done, but it was a 5-hour meeting, and so I did a minute and an hour. Check back. We'll talk more. I will keep doing these things. There's another school board meeting on the 15th, and I'm sure there's going to be more about these books. Thank you.